Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Danvers Historical Society. We hope you enjoyed today's virtual speaker series. Please be sure to visit our website, www.danvershistory.org, to find out details about our upcoming virtual events and programs. We truly appreciate everyone's support, help, and teamwork in making these virtual events possible. We want to thank our speakers, DCAT, our volunteers, members, and trustees. We hope you enjoyed today's lecture. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Giovanni Alabiso, and I am from Salem Historical Tours and Haunted Footsteps Ghost Tour, and I'm here at Tapley Hall for the speaker series. So I've got a subject today I want to talk to people about, something that's kind of interesting, very historic, goes back, it's been happening for 281 years. So I am also a board member of Salem United, and so we have a presentation. This exhibit was at Hamilton Hall in Salem for over the summer. It's now moving to another location, but it's the unmasking and evolution of Negro Election Day and the Black vote. So people are probably asking, what is this about? And if you've seen the ads for the speaker series, probably wondering the same thing. So people have probably heard of the Black Picnic, have seen the Black Picnic that happens in Salem Willows every year. And people probably wonder, what is this about? But this is the Willows, the North River on one side, South River kind of on the other side, the bay right there. Everybody goes down, they barbecue, they have fun, there's music, there's dancing, there's games, there's all sorts of things going on. It's a day-long celebration. So people who have gone to the Black Picnic have been going for years. Some of them themselves had no idea. There's folks who were just going for years, and when you ask them, they're like, well, my mother brought us down, and my father brought us down, our parents brought us down, and we went down for years, but they never knew the significance, and I don't think a lot of people understand the significance of what's going on here. So this all goes back to Africa. This is King Pompey, sometimes called Pompey. So this is an artist rendering by this gentleman, Bradley Black. So he made this, it's crayon on paper. He made this for the, it was a PEM, the Peabody Essex Museum. It was presented to them. And this is not really a true version of King Pompey, but this is what the artist thinks he might have looked like based on a lot of descriptions and a lot of information. So this is an artist rendering, and this is, it's a marvelous drawing, and it's just, this is the best we have of what this gentleman may have looked like. So who is he, and where did he come from? So we're going to start, well, this here is what he would have worn as he was king, and his wife Phyllis, he did get married 1747. So they did get married back then. He got married, took a wife. So, but I'll explain why he's in those type of clothes, but this is what he would have worn back in the day. So the story starts in Africa, in Ghana. This here is a replica door. Obviously it's much smaller. This would have guarded the villages over there. And this slowly became known as the door of no return. Because if you went through this, out of the village, through this door, and went hunting, went fishing, whatever, it's very possible you may not return, because you would be captured by the English, the whites, and you would be brought to America as a slave. So it's a beautiful door replica. It's incredibly heavy, so you can imagine what the real doors would have been like. And this is from the Dogon tribe. So this is very descriptive, very all the different symbols, and basically it expresses what their tribe is and who they are. So, but if you go through this door, you get captured, and you put on these slave ships, and you can see how everybody is packed in over there. They would just pack these ships. Sometimes you wouldn't survive. You would be put in shackles. So one part of the shackle tied to the ship, the other part on your leg. Here's an ad talking about an upcoming sale that's going to happen, and this happens to be Charleston, actually Carolina. So, but this is the Danvers, which is a ship that went down there. But this stuff does happen in Massachusetts as well. So you get on that, and here is, these are actual shackles. So this little ring part on the end, that is the part that would have been attached to the ship, and this is the part around the leg. So these are actual shackles that were preserved that Salem United got a hold of for this exhibit. So, and you just have to survive that long trip over. This here is the paperwork of a 12-year-old girl. So just to kind of show you that age was not a factor. But this is the paperwork that describes her being owned by whoever the gentleman was who owned her. You can be 12, you can be 5, you can be 85. It doesn't matter. Age was not a factor. And this, you might be saying, why is this in there? This is a picture of the USS Constitution. So, the USS Constitution, when this exhibit was being put together, they heard of it and they contacted Salem United. They wanted to express their part of the story. So what was happening with the Constitution is that way back when the ship was built, and the other six ships in the fleet, or at least the 5 that were built up here, they went to some slave owners and they said, hey, can we pay you to use your slaves to carve the hull of the ship? So the hull of this ship, of the Constitution, carved by enslaved people. So that's kind of maybe shocking to a lot of different people. But this is what the USS Constitution admitted. But they had a change of heart. So from about 1853 to 55, the Constitution was used to stop incoming ships for the slave trade. So they would turn the ships back, or they would take them and bring them and just free all the enslaved people and put the other men under arrest. However, there's sometimes when they would try to send them back, and they said, okay, we'll go back. And then, of course, when the Constitution was out of sight, then the ship resumed and went to another port instead of going to wherever they were heading. So, but if you go to the USS Constitution Museum today and you go through, they don't necessarily talk about it, but if you ask them, they will probably bring it up. But of course, it's a little embarrassing, but just make no mistake, the USS Constitution was never going to Africa and bringing back enslaved people. So, but it did have a small role, again, trying to stop the ships later on in the 1850s, but, you know, this is at the height of slavery, and this is right before right before the Civil War. So this next slide is a house. This is the Mansfield house. Daniel Mansfield over in Saugus. He ends up buying King Pompey, the man I showed you earlier up on the screen. So he buys him. Pompey lives on these grounds. I'm not sure if he lived in the house, but he lived on the grounds. This is kind of near where the Saugus Ironworks are located. So, this house is believed to be part of the ironworks. When you look at some of the pictures, you see the same shape and design. So this might have been part of the ironworks going way back, or is now, but it's right near the grounds. Mansfield owned all the land in that area. So, and he allowed, when he takes Pompey, Pompey is a prince, he is royalty, so he had paid more for someone like that. And he ends up educating Pompey. And he was a clothier, Mansfield was, so he educates Pompey in being a clothier. So if you remember that outfit I showed you, That's what we believe, something like that, based on pictures that he would have worn, pictures and drawings. So Pompey is educated, they teach him stuff, he's very good, very capable, and he gains a lot of respect. And Daniel Mansfield had plans to release him, but then it was really his son, Thomas Mansfield, who actually released him. So, but 1740, he allowed the beginning of Negro Election Day, so this actually starts in Saugus. So, this is a map, an old map of Saugus Lynn. So Saugus was part of Lynn at one point, it breaks off. So the area of land we're looking at here is along the Saugus River. So the ironworks, and I'm going to step in front of this a little, but the ironworks are kind of over in this area, so you see all this squiggle of the Saugus River. That's kind of where Mansfield land is. And he gave a couple of acres for the start of Negro Election there. So that was 1740 along the Saugus River. And if you know the Saugus Center is Hamilton Street goes off Saugus Center, and it goes by a little shopping plaza where there's a 7-Eleven, and there's a little gas station nearby. The Saugus police are right there too. But you go right over the bridge, which is the bridge over the Saugus River, and right in that area is where this land was. And Mansfield had the rest of the land, but he gave 2 acres to Pompey to have this election. So they would actually elect a governor, a black governor. And in the first election, Pompey wins. He was allowed to govern over his people, to make rules, to dole out punishments, to issue edicts, orders, just to over his people. And he was the liaison to the white governor, the governor of Massachusetts. So that at the time was Jonathan Belcher. So this is 1740, and this is the start of black governance. So, but it does start over in Saugus. And then 1747 is when he is given his freedom. He actually buys that land, and, oh, this is another picture. So this is kind of a satellite shot of where the land would have been. This, obviously, you can see the river. You can see some of those landmarks I mentioned. So over along Riverbank Road, right in this area, would have been the land where they had the first Negro Election Day. So, which is kind of cool. We're still trying to nail down the exact acres, but we know it's somewhere in this area. So, but he ends up buying this land. There's a deed for the land, 1747, and it is basically his land at that point, and builds a house and is living there. So this is getting now into the description of the first black voting system, Negro Election Day. This is an old painting that is believed to be the king, one of the kings. We think him, what the king would have worn. Down below, that is a picture of a Rhode Island king. So this not only happened in Massachusetts, but it happened in Connecticut, it happened in Rhode Island. That is one of 2 Rhode Island governors riding a horse after the election. So, but this is the evolution of what's going on with the first black governance system. So, and you can see here, they're talking about how the one's free. Now it's a 2-week election process. They pick a king, a governor, and it's getting into all of the stuff that I had mentioned. So, and that's the bottom half of that, so you can get a better image and see. That is either John or Gus, I think. There's only 2 Rhode Island governors, so we don't know which one that is, but that's one of the Rhode Island governors. So, and then this here is music. They celebrated with music. They carved out some drums, and then this here is a banjo, and I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but the banjo actually comes from Western Africa. So this is, they had musical instruments that were similar. They didn't have the same sort of materials here. So basically, it's black people who created the banjo, and it's this Negro Election Day which really kind of pushed it as well. So that banjo is actually traces its roots back to West Africa. So, but you can look that up. It's very incredible, and you can see some of the images of the musical instruments that they had that were similar, but again, they kind of created something similar but a little new. So, and this is a list of all of the black kings, governors. You can see Connecticut has a whole list of them, and that's going from New London back in, that looks like 1760, all the way up until the 1800s. There's the Massachusetts, Lynn Saugus, King Pompey, Rhode Island governors, New Hampshire governor as well. And there was a celebration in other states, New York and New Jersey. It wasn't an election, but it's called Pinkster. And so they were having celebrations down there too. So, but this is to show that this is not a one-time occurrence. This is a lot. This is actually a movement. So, and now we come to Salem Willows, and this is a little disturbing photo, but so it moves to Salem Willows in 1880. So things are happening, but it's not met with a lot of positive reviews, put it that way. So this is 1885, and if you see these folks here on the stage, those are actually kids in blackface. And these are all white people here, and they're having their own little event on one side of Salem Willows, while on the other side of Salem Willows, you have Negro Election Day, you have the black governance system going on. So they were mocking what was going on. So that is, again, not everything is met with positive vibes, so this is basically what's going on in Salem 1885. But the event perseveres. So, and these are some articles that are talking about what we just saw, talking about basically this celebration and what's going on and why is it happening. So, and this kind of confirms some of the timeline as well. So, but things progress after the Civil War. The first black man to vote in the nation was Thomas Mundy Peterson from Perth Amboy, New Jersey. So he voted in 1870. So this is the progression. This is some of the progress that's happening. But it's not as, you're going backwards, you're going forwards, you're going backwards. There's incidents around the country. This is a very sad story. This is Maceo Snipes, soldier, World War II. He comes back home and he votes, and he's in Georgia, and then what happens is, after he's home, they call him out, a bunch of men come to the house, call him out, want to talk to him, he comes out, and they shoot him and kill him. So the message was quite clear, no voting. So don't go vote. You might have the right to vote, but don't go vote. So, and he's a veteran. He fought for the country. And it's just unbelievable. But, and then now we're moving into suppression, other ways they're suppressing. You might have heard about the jelly bean test. So here's an example. You can see that whole jar, and you need to guess how many jelly beans are in that jar. You need to count them. And of course, it doesn't matter if you get it right, you're always going to get it wrong. So this was just a way to keep black people from voting. And then the next one is, this is the Jim Crow test, colored only literacy test. And I'll tell you, you had 10 minutes to take this test, and there's all these questions, 20 seconds per test. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're educated or not, you're never going to pass this test. So this next slide shows some of these. This is state of Louisiana. So this is, number one, draw a line around the number or letter of this sentence. So you've only got 20 seconds to spend on that number one question. So the thing is, what does that even mean, right? It's like, so you got to figure out what it means, and then you can answer it. And then say you get it right, maybe it takes you 30 seconds, now you're down, you only got 10 seconds for the second one, now you're timing it, right? So cross out the longest word in this line. Well, that's a little more easy, I think, right? But you're never going to get through all these questions, and they're just ridiculous, and it's designed so you can't pass it. So I'm college educated, I have a graduate degree, I could not pass this in 10 minutes. So there's one of the things here somewhere it says spell backwards forwards. So it's like, what? So spell backwards normally? I don't know. But this is some of the examples of suppression, voter suppression. So, but yeah. And you can see some of these others. Draw a line from circle 2 to circle 5 that will pass below circle 2 and above circle 4. What? Right. But anyway, you get the idea. So, oh, and that's another, all these other questions. So 30 questions, 10 minutes, 20 seconds apiece. So this is more talking about suppression, poll tax. This is Alabama. We talked about the jello bean test. This is California trying to repeal the gag law. So, and then there's more information about, I believe that's about poll tax and gag law as well. But this is what's going on. This is going all the way up into the 60s and even today, right? So this here talks about some of that as well. You see some old pictures on voter suppression. You see people saying, let us vote. Over here in the corner, of course, you have an incident that I think everyone in the world knows about, George Floyd. That caused outrage around the world. So, but these are some of the examples of what's happening today and what was happening in the past. And then we got the ads, like to encourage people to vote. So we're still having this battle because a lot of people aren't voting because of the suppression effort. So, but you have old ads that show you, hey, go vote, go vote. And then you got John Legend over here also urging people to vote. So all of this stuff's still going on today. So, but it's still a battle to get people to vote. And then you go backwards. Oh, I'm sorry, different slide. But this is a quilt that Salem United is putting together. So you can see there, it's insignia here. And then up here it says, oh, wait a minute, where is it? That's Negro Election Day, Black Picnic Day. Oh, it's right here. It's smaller, from Saugus River to Salem Willows. So, and then you got Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman in the middle here as well. So, but that's a quilt, and we're adding more to that quilt. But this here is some books. You can see the handcuffs, so it's about the phrase shackles to handcuffs. But these are books about the experience and what's going on. So it's being written about, it's being discussed, and trying to move things forward. This is images of what you see on the news and newspapers, and basically the images are showing black men being arrested, and this is what you see all the time. So this is that shackles to handcuffs mentality. But the thing is, this was at the end of 2017, federal and state prisons in the United States had about 476,000 black men in prison. But this is what they show you. What they don't tell you is that there's about 450,000 or 55,000 white men in prison. So it's really almost equal. But these are the images they project to make you feel like black men are the problem, and that's not necessarily true. So it's really about maybe 55-45. So, but nevertheless, this advertising, this is what they project to try to get you to believe that this is the problem. but it is not. This is a timeline of Negro Election Day. You can see all the different name changes that was held here. Let's see, I wonder if the next slide shows that a little bigger, yeah. So going from the 18th century, it was called the Maids' Picnic, Emancipation Day, Negro Election Day, and it's just evolving over time. And there's that horrible picture again, but it's just still advancing, called Colored People's Picnic, the Sunday Picnic, Black Picnic Day, Colored People's Picnic, yeah, again, and Black Picnic. So it's kind of like the same thing, but it's being called something different until currently in 2014 when it's taken over by Salem United. So Salem United is changing the name. So it's called Black Celebration Negro Election Day. And it's because, well, the word picnic is not a word that they want to associate with it. So, again, another disturbing picture and some disturbing information. But what happens is the South kind of changes that name picnic. And, I don't know, oh, it wasn't, let me see. Whoop, what am I doing? There we go. All right. So, I don't know if you can see it up here, but picnic got changed to pick a N-word. So, and they would have barbecues and festivals down south, and they would basically pick someone and they would lynch them. And in that picture, if you look closely, you can see the legs of an enslaved person, or maybe legs of a black person, and they were lynched. So, and this is what's going on in the South. So it's very disturbing, but this is why we don't want to use that word picnic anymore. It is just not something that is, you know, just is positive at all. So that's why Salem United is changing the name. And then the next slides, this shows modern day what's happening down at the celebration. So you've got parade that we go down, and we go from downtown area to the Willows. So if you look here, there's soldiers from the Mass 54th. So everyone knows the story of the 54th if you watch the Glory movie, right, where the 1st Massachusetts Regiment of black soldiers attacks Fort Wagner, other battles as well. It's pretty bad, that first battle. They lose. The second battle, they win. But a lot of men died in that first battle. So that's the 54th. This here, I believe, is, one of these is the Park Rangers. The other one is the Salem Police, or the Essex County Police. There's also here, these are Masons, the Prince Hall Masons, who are at this march every year in the celebration. So there's a black Masonic lodge that started, I don't know, 1800 sometime, and that's what they're representing. So, but this is what's going on at the celebration. There's music, there's awards, there's food, just a lot of fun that's going on down there right now, even though they're not electing anybody anymore, but this continues. So they kind of had it this year. It wasn't held officially, but a lot of people still went. And then last year it wasn't held officially during COVID, so it was still people there, so technically it's consecutive for 281 years to the current year. So, and it will be back next year. It's the 3rd Saturday of every July. And there's a flag raising in Riley Plaza in Salem. And I'll show you the flag that they'll raise. We did it this year, we're going to do it next year, but that's the Friday before the 3rd Saturday, so I guess that'd be the 3rd Friday. So, and then the next slide, these are citations coming from the state of Massachusetts. This is the state senate honoring the celebration, and more resolutions and proclamations about the celebration as well. So, this is some of what is worn during the parade. So this is the Grand Marshal gets that. We've had several people as Grand Marshals. Then you got the King and the Queen, you got crowns that they wear. So it's very pomp and circumstance, a lot of fun. This gentleman here, Melvin Charles, he's one of two men who designed the Black American Heritage flag. And this is the flag right here. The other man is Gleason Jackson. He's not pictured. We can't find a picture of him. But they developed this flag, and this is it right here. This is it hanging on Hamilton Hall. So the red is for the blood that was spilled. The black is the pigmentation, and then the gold represents prosperity. And so this is 1967, the Black American Heritage flag. This is the flag of Salem United. This is what has been chosen because some of the other flags, the African flags, red and green, this is more of a Black American Heritage flag. So this is why this has been chosen. So, and next year we will have the daughter of Melvin Charles at the celebration. So, oh, and these are the flags flying at Riley Plaza. So 12 flags, a ceremony where different people were asked to come and to raise a flag. So we had 12 different people raising flags, and those flew for about a month right in Salem Center. So, and this is Massachusetts Senate Bill 2083, endorsed by Senator Joan Lovely. This is trying to get Negro Election Day as a holiday. So if you are enthused, encouraged by this presentation, please lend your voice to this, lend your signature to this. You can do that at the exhibit. It's going to be at the Lynn Museum at some point, but it's also, you can maybe be able to do this online, or at least call the Senator's office and maybe voice your support that way. So, and that's the logo of Salem United. So that's the presentation. So I hope it was very educational. It was for me. I always knew about the Willows and what was going on, never really understood it. But now you know, so when you see it, you know. And it is open to anybody, because Salem United is pushing diversity and inclusion. So I go down, you're welcome to go down, anybody's welcome to go down. And just come down and see what it's about, and there'll be presentations, there'll be entertainment, and it'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, the arcades are there too, so you can go play in the arcade if you want to. So thank you very much for tuning into the presentation. My name's been Giovanni Alabiso. I'm from Salem Historical Tours, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation and learning about the Black Celebration Day down at the Willows. I know I did.
Thank you for spending time with the Danvers Historical Society. Please be sure to visit our website to donate at www.danvershistory.org. Have a nice day.